Okay, I'm ready. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Storytime Society, or welcome to Storytime Society if you're new. So happy to have you. Like, seriously, so happy. I am loving this. I'm loving chatting with you guys, and I'm just loving it all. And it's just so fun, so slay. We're literally like hanging out, having a little cozy story time. And yeah, so, oh, get your drinks. I, unfortunately, of course, my computer literally is so old. It's a dinosaur, but I need it to charge because it doesn't hold charge. Anyways, I today am drinking electrolytes because I actually already had 2 lattes, which is 4 shots of espresso, a Diet Mountain Dew, only half of it though, and then also a green juice, which is very healthy, and that's why I rewarded myself with a Diet Mountain Dew. But I need electrolytes, so I'm drinking electrolytes today. So get your drink, get your maybe some food. I wish I could eat, honestly, on here and just like do a little mukbang, I don't know, story time with you guys, but I just know that it would be so incredibly annoying to hear me chew and talk at the same time, because nobody wants to hear that. All right. So I do have a Reddit linked in the description below, and I also have a Patreon. I'm not really sure if I'm going to continue that. I think I might just take that down. I like never log into it, so it's too much to have like a separate entity. I might just start like a membership thing on YouTube. Let me know if you would want something like that. I don't know. I also want you guys to start posting. Sorry, I'm losing my mind as always. On my Reddit, I say this every week, but I would love for you guys to share stories on my Reddit that I could read. I know obviously as like more people watch, you will start posting on there, but I'm just going to say it every single time because then I can remind you. If you have a good story, then give me a little post on our Reddit and join our Reddit. Even if you don't post on it, become a member of the Storytime Society Reddit subreddit page. But yeah, let's get into story times for today. I need to like approve all these posts, but I want to start with a good one. Okay. I think I know which one I want to start with. My fiance slept with my sister. My 26 fiance. No, wait, what? Not me using F as fiance. My 26 female fiance, 28 male, slept with my sister, 32 female, and I am heartbroken and devastated. I can't move on. Okay, trigger warning: infidelity, betrayal, self-harm, depression, and property damage. Hi Reddit, I'm posting here in the hope that someone can give me some advice, share their experiences. I don't know. I'm just completely at a loss. I feel like my heart has been ripped out. My fiance, let's call him Jake, and I have been together for 7 years. I don't know a life without him. I met him at university. We stayed together past graduation and moved into a flat which we bought together 2 years ago. He proposed last summer, and we were set to wed in July 2017. We have had very few problems until now. My sister, let's call her Sarah, is an extremely volatile person. Growing up, I doted on her completely, but she had a lot of personal issues that made our home life turbulent. Her childhood was very different to mine. My parents had very little money. They were on the brink of a divorce. My dad was physically violent on a number of occasions, whilst things improved drastically in the years after I was born. She has an abundance of problems that stem back to this. My parents also feel a lot of guilt about Sarah's upbringing and used to let her get away with some shocking behavior. Sarah had the same boyfriend for as long as I can remember. They dated from when they were 16 years old, and their relationship was toxic. They habitually broke up and got back together. When they were good, they were crazy in love, but more often than not, she would have these insane arguments, sometimes physical, with him, and then take out her frustrations and despair on myself and my parents. I remember spending many nights lying by her side in bed while she cried so hard she would retch. After their arguments, she would throw plates and glasses at the wall, hit herself. Sometimes she would hit me and my parents too. It was like he was a drug to her, and she was emotionally stunted and didn't know how to see anything past their relationship. 2 months ago, her boyfriend called things off for good. I don't know what gave, but after nearly 2 decades together, he finally had enough. 2 decades? He booked a one-way ticket to another country, changed his number, deleted all social media profiles, and essentially disappeared from Sarah's life. To this day, she still won't explain what caused this, but it was long overdue. To say Sarah was devastated is an understatement. She moved out of their shared rented apartment and in with my parents. I would visit her most days after work, where she would flit in between explosive rage to an almost catatonic silence, staring at the wall with tears streaming down her face. At one point, we were all extremely worried she might seriously harm herself and organized her to see a therapist. I was about to say, please get this girl to a therapist. Something I had suggested for years. Of course, she backed out days before her appointment, and there were no consequences. She is, after all, a grown woman. She just hasn't changed emotionally in the entire time I've known her, and still acts like a teenager. 2 days ago, I went to visit Sarah, who was in bed in her darkened room. I let myself in and attempted to speak to her, telling her about my day at work. She immediately exploded, screaming at me, throwing her pillows across the room, crying uncontrollably. She told me life was unfair, that I had everything and she was left alone to rot, that everything wrong in her life was because she was a bad person. She hurt her boyfriend. She drove him away. She's ruined our family. She screwed Jake and didn't even feel guilty at the time. Wait, sorry? She said all this to her? What? I initially thought I'd misheard her, but then she said it again, and it was like she had poured a bucket of ice water over me. I silently left, shaking, and when I got home, Jake was there watching TV. It came out of my mouth the second I saw him, and I could see his eyes. It was true. He broke down and told me it happened 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Sarah had another blazing row with her boyfriend and decided to drive round to Jake's looking for me. I was at our parents' at the time, and Jake attempted to pacify Sarah. He comforted her while she sobbed in his arms, and one thing led to another. They had sex. I packed an overnight bag while he followed me from room to room, sobbing and telling me it was the worst mistake of his life, that he still has no idea how it happened, that he felt unbelievably guilty the second it was over, that it feels like it wasn't even real. I left him in the doorway begging me not to leave. I've checked into a hotel and have switched my phone off. I don't know what to do, who to tell, where to begin. I feel sick, like this is a bad dream. My heart feels like it's been ripped into a million pieces for all of Sarah's faults. I love her more than anything. It's like the two people who are more to me than anyone else in the world. How the fuck do I move on from this? I feel like I'm in a bubble. I don't know what's going on in the outside world. All I do is cry and sleep in this room. Someone please help me make sense of this. I hate your boyfriend or your fiance, whatever the fuck he is. First of all, when you're saying sorry and that you literally screwed your fiance's sister 3 years ago, don't say that one thing led to another. Don't say that I have no idea how it happened. Are you dumb? You know how it happened. You're a stupid man who couldn't keep his penis in his pants and cheated on your fiance with her sister. How about you just say, I am so sorry, and I should have told you so that you could have made the decision if you wanted to break up with me or not at the time, instead of lied to you for the past 3 years. And I am a fucked up person. Like, how about you just say that? No need to make excuses like one thing led to another. Shut the hell up. Cut the bullshit. Like, for real? One thing led to another? No. he felt unbelievably guilty the second it was over, that it feels like it wasn't even real. Oh, well, guess what? It was. It was real. Let me tell you that it was real, and you really did not have to do that. And that's honestly so disgusting that someone was crying in your arms and that's what happened. Like, ew. I'm literally going to throw up right now, because if that happened to me, I would never be able to look at either of those people in the eyes. And that man would be dead to me, like, for real. Dead. Dead to me. That's disgusting. So dramatic, but that's disgusting. For real. Okay. Let's see. Update. Hi everyone, I logged on this afternoon to find 300 plus replies and messages to my post. I am unbelievably shocked by all the people who reached out to me, particularly user Fractal Faye's incredible response, which spoke to me on a level I didn't think possible from a stranger. I'd like to thank each and every single person who took time out of their day for me. I was so overwhelmed that I've not responded to a single one as of yet, but it is truly, truly appreciated. Now on to the update. It has only been a day or so since I made my post, but it feels like I've been in that hotel room for weeks, crying in the dark, buried under the covers. At some point this morning, I decided to draw the curtains open and let the sunlight in. I went and sat on the balcony and switched my phone on for the first time. It started ringing within 30 seconds. It was my mother, who burst into tears as soon as I answered. Her and my parents had obviously been desperately worried. This is the longest I've ever gone without contact, and even contemplated calling the police had I failed to contact them by this evening. My mom informed me that as I was walking out of Sarah's room, down the stairs, and out the front door, Sarah was screaming and wailing that she's sorry. Funnily enough, I didn't hear this. I don't know how. I think I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't process anything around me. However, I can't even remember the drive home. After I shut the door behind me, my mom, who was the only other person at home, rushed into Sarah's room to find her trashing her room and attempting to slash... Okay. Trigger warning. Attempting to slash her wrists with a blunt lino cutter of all instruments. I don't know what that is. Sarah used to do a lot of art. Okay, this is really sad and kind of triggering me, honestly. Obviously, this barely caused a scratch, but jump-started my mom into action. She drove Sarah to the hospital, where I understand she underwent some sort of assessment and was kept overnight. She has incredibly agreed to undergo treatment for whatever that it is that is wrong with her. My mom was surprised she was so complacent on the drive down, willingly entering the car and saying nothing other than asking where I am. Sarah seems resigned and completely deflated. My mom spoke to me at length for the first time in my life about the hardships that they had undergone during Sarah's childhood. I am unwilling to go into detail and am still in shock about some of the things I've heard. Sarah is not devoid of responsibility. She has long surpassed the age where she can blame her childhood for her behavior, but my mom admitted through tears that not sending her to therapy at an early age was the biggest regret of her life so far. I asked my mom if she knew why I had left. She admitted that she had known since Sarah's ex left 2 months ago. At this point, I had to struggle not to hang up, and I suddenly felt myself going back into that pit, but she begged me to listen. After her ex, Harry, I am too drunk to invent a name. Hi, Harry. Oh my God. Left, Sarah told my mom exactly what had happened. It was not the reason for Harry's departure, although he did know about it. Rather, he had had enough of Sarah's carer, and years of begging her to seek help had fallen on deaf ears one too many times. When Sarah informed my mom told Sarah I have to know immediately. Sarah refused to tell me, and I still don't know why she changed her mind in that moment. My dad doesn't know, for anyone wondering, and thinks I've left, as I've also finally had enough of Sarah's behavior. Now here is where the home truths came out. I asked my mom if she knew the details. She was reluctant to tell me anything, stating that it had happened and that was all I needed to know. But I told her I refused to step foot in the house until I knew everything. She then proceeded to tell me that a few months before they slept together, Sarah and Jake had kissed at my dad's 60th birthday party. The fact that her whole family was keeping this a secret is actually insanely crazy to me. It was a large family gathering with a lot of alcohol involved. Don't care. I remember Jake getting very drunk with my cousins. Sarah had a crying tantrum prior to her arriving, as her and Harry had an argument, and he refused to come. She called me sobbing before he had arrived. before she arrived. At some point during the night, Jake asked if she was okay and hugged her, and once again, one thing led to another, and then they shared a kiss in the kitchen. Sarah told my mom that they were both immediately remorseful. Eye roll. 100 eye rolls. And vowed never to speak of it again. But Sarah deliberately sought him out the night they slept together, knowing he was unlikely to turn her down. She openly admitted she did it to get back at Harry, who had cheated on her during one of their many infamous breaks. I don't think I've even entered her thoughts. At this point, I'd heard enough. We'd spoken on the phone for over 4 hours, and I felt mentally drained and physically sick. Any hope I had of salvaging my relationship with Jake was completely gone. I feel the last 3 years have been tainted by their betrayal. In the many years before that, I wondered, did he like Sarah this whole time? Part of me doesn't even want to know. It's worth nothing. He has made absolutely no attempt to contact me other than a single text stating, I am sorry, take as long as you need. As if it's inevitable, I will come back to him. Things are still up in the air. I don't feel ready to check out of the hotel as I don't know where I'm going to go next. I feel my relationship with my mom has been rocked by these revelations. I don't know what's going to become of Sarah. I have no idea what I'm going to do about me and Jake's flat, where I'm going to live. I don't even know if I have a job anymore. I just haven't showed up to work. But I know the truth, and the smallest part of me is grateful for that. The rest of me is consumed by a pain I never imagined possible. I guess there's nothing else to do now except wait and see how things unfold. But reading through your comments and messages have been more than helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for anyone who has ever experienced symptoms like Sarah's or has been around someone who is visibly troubled, I beg of you to seek help before it's too late. Okay, so let's unpack this because there is a lot to unpack. I can relate to this, honestly, because I feel like I am this sister, but on a lighter scale. Because, like, my sister's never done anything like this to me before. That would be crazy because she's 12 years older than me. So, like, if she slept with my ex, that would be actually illegal and very crazy. Or my boyfriend. Like, if she slept with my boyfriend when I was, like, in high school, that would have been very crazy and illegal. But, yeah, she's never done anything like that to me. But I can relate because my parents also were in a very different spot to where they were when I was younger and growing up. And obviously, like, I have my own childhood traumas, but compared to, like, what my sister and my brother, because we're all such, like, different ages, went through, it's so different. Like, my sister definitely went through more of something like Sarah. She definitely had a more traumatic upbringing, which led her to having more issues while she was, like, older and trying to figure those out and just, like, having trouble kind of with her emotions and not really knowing how to fix it. And she did go to the doctor, and I don't really think she has gone to therapy that much, but as much as, like, I feel like she should, because even I went to therapy, and I would say that compared to the things that she had went through when she was growing up is just, like, a fraction. Like, what I went through is, like, a fraction of what she went through. And I went to therapy for, like, a year and a half. And I'm on medicine for depression and anxiety. And so I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if my sister's actually fully gotten diagnosed, but we've talked about how me and her have talked about how we're pretty sure she has BPD. Borderline personality disorder, because she kind of has, and I feel like, not to diagnose, but I feel like that's kind of like Sarah has some of these symptoms, like, of BPD. And yeah, I don't really know why I'm sharing that. I feel like I probably shouldn't be sharing my sister's personal information, but she's pretty open about it, and I don't think that she would mind. She is pretty open about her mental health, and she's doing amazing now, and I'm really happy for her because she's doing really well now, but she did struggle a lot as I was growing up, and it's 100% valid why she was struggling, because there are just things that she went through because my parents were at a different stage. Like, I'm pretty sure when my sister was born, my parents were still together. They were married for like 19 or 20 years until they got divorced, and right, I think 19 years or something. And my sister was growing up, I think they lived in a trailer for the first few years of her life when she was a toddler growing up, maybe even when my brother was growing up. I'm not 100% sure, but so she saw like that side of the getting to see your parents being married and not being in a happy relationship and the downfall of that and everything. And she was 12, right? No, she was 16 when they got divorced. So 16 or 17. And I was only 4. Yeah, she was 16 because she's 12 years older than me and I was 4. Yeah, okay, that's the right math. 4, 5, 6, yeah. So I was only 4. So like I don't remember my parents. I remember little things that definitely like affected me, but not to the extent of what probably went on when she was growing up. And yeah, so it's just so different because she was 12 years older than me. My brother is 5 years older than me, I think, or 6, 5 or 6 years older than me. So we all went through different stages because my parents were in such different stages. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's making sense at all, but that just like makes all of our traumas so different. And my parents love them to death, but obviously a lot of people have childhood trauma, and I am not blaming that on my parents because they did the best that they could with what they had and what they knew. And they were young parents, as I've mentioned in videos before. My dad was like 17. My mom was like 19, I think, when they had their first kid. So as you can imagine, that is a little bit crazy. And yeah, they were young parents. Like, I cannot blame them. They were trying their best. I would be probably, if I had a kid that young, like at 17, I'd be like, I can't do this. But I can't even take care of myself. I don't even feel like showering, you know? So, yeah, I feel like I can relate to this just a little bit. But I definitely was more, my relationship with my sister was definitely more, like motherly and not like this, like we didn't have these type of fights. I was like, loved my sister so much. Like I was so sad every time her and my mom got in fights and my sister had to move out. I would cry. My sister would sneak to my window when my mom would kick her out, and I would like sneak out of my window to go hang out with my sister. Or to just even talk to her and be like, I love you. It was so funny. But yeah, so that's how I feel like I can relate a little bit. And I hope I didn't just overshare too much. I tried to keep it minimal because obviously there are things that I could get into, but I won't do that on the internet, on the worldwide internet. So, anyways, we all have our problems. We all have our traumas. We all have our, we got shit. That's okay. But anyways, here's another update. Hi everyone, I thought I would make a final update to my original post and update as I've received a lot of messages over the last few days wondering how I am over the holiday period. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you for the outpouring support I've received over the last month. The number of messages, links to help, and offers for a shoulder to cry on were overwhelming and touching. So after my conversation with my mom, where I found out she had known about Jake and Sarah, I went back to square one. I switched my phone off again and retreated back into my hotel for a further 5 days. From the comments on my last post, I should clear up one thing. My mom hadn't known about Jake and Sarah from the very beginning. Rather, Sarah had told her about it at the time of Harry's sudden departure, meaning she had known a couple months before I did. Eventually, I decided enough was enough and decided to call work. My boss wasn't angry or even surprised to hear from me. My mom had called him after our conversation and told him there had been a family emergency and I would be unavailable for the foreseeable future. He advised I take to the end of the week, but would have to come to a meeting if I required any more time off work than I'd already given myself. So my job was safe-ish, and I'm back at work and trying to get on with things. After this, I went back to my parents. Sarah was also home but holed up in her room. I went in to see her and she was up painting. As a number of you guessed, it is likely she has BPD. Okay. So, maybe I was right. Although my parents are waiting on a second opinion, she is going to counseling weekly and seems slightly better. She broke down in tears when she saw me, and we had a long... Oh, don't show everyone your dirty asshole, girl. Sorry. She broke down in tears when she saw me, and we had a long, long talk where she spoke to me in depth about how truly consumed she was by her and Harry's toxic relationship. Puppy, stop it. Come here. Ugh, I don't want her to bite on my cords. She understands it's for the best that it's over, but describes the pain as unrelenting. It hurt when he was with me, and it hurts now he's gone. I know a lot of you will feel disappointed that I haven't cut her or my mom out of my life for good. I still feel resentment in the pit of my stomach when I think about it, but truly I blame Jake more than anything else. Jake was with me for long enough to see some of Sarah's behavior. She's not well, and he still chose to do what he did. It is a slow process, but she's my sister, and I can't cut them out of my life forever. It will never be the same again, but maybe that's a good thing. My dad, who had been newly informed on the proceedings, drove to my apartment and gathered some of my clothes in an overnight bag. Jake was not home, and my parents have not heard from him since I left. I have no idea where he is, and neither he nor his family have attempted any contact with me since this came out. His social media profiles have disappeared, and I have not attempted any contact with him, his family, or his friends. I began the slow process of telling my friends last week. I did not explain what happened other than to say that Jake was not the person I thought he was. They have all assumed cheating, but there is no reason for them to know who was involved. I have switched back and forth between staying with my parents and sleeping at my apartment. I sleep on the sofa bed as the memories are too painful at the moment. I am in the process of looking into selling the place. However, this means contacting Jake at some point in the near future as the apartment is joint owned. I will cross that bridge when I feel a bit stronger. Christmas Day was a strange and sad one for both myself and Sarah, but we spent it as a family, and for the few hours we were sat around eating, watching movies, and the pain dulled even a small bit. As we were flicking through the various movies and TV episodes we'd recorded, I came across a scene that stuck with me, a scene that ended with the words La familia es todo. Not that accent, that was so bad. I still spend most days with a hole in my heart. It hurts more than anything I've ever felt in my life, but it's getting better. I know I've got a long way to go, but for the first time, I'm confident I'll get there. Thank you for reading, and here's to 2016. Oh my God, not 2016, when I was graduating high school. That's funny. What would be when she asked why she forgave her sister and not Jake? I feel like that's pretty reasonable, to be honest. Like, it's her choice, first of all, and second of all, not only that, but that is your sister. Like, not your boyfriend is a total different, like, thing. I mean, obviously, when your family does something bad, you do have the right, if you want. I think that it is totally okay to cut a family member out if they are like toxic and you will do better without them. But you also can decide to forgive and try to move on and move past that. And not only that, but this girl, her sister obviously is heavily struggling with mental illness, and that can definitely jade your decisions and jade you a lot. So I almost feel as though, and I'm not putting all the blame on Jake, but I almost feel as though Jake kind of took advantage of her in a little bit, like, in a way. That is so distracting. I almost feel like he took advantage of her in a way because she was in such a vulnerable state. In both instances, she was bawling her eyes out and super upset and has been going through these problems with potentially BPD, which is if you've ever dealt with someone with BPT, it's very volatile, and they can be good one moment and then like terrible, terrible, terrible the next. Like their emotions just flip like that. And I'm not saying everyone's like this, and I'm not trying to like, what is it called? Make it a stereotype or like put everyone in the same box with that. But from what I've seen, like dealing with someone with BPD is just, it's very volatile, and they are just like, one thing can just set them off like that and have them completely torn apart. Sorry. Of course, like my cats are literally distracting me. I let them out of the room instead of locking them up, and my cat is dragging around a cardboard. Oh my God, she's going to be choked. Poppy, really? Get your head out of the bag. She's literally going to choke herself. She's crazy. Okay, someone asked in the comments why she forgave her sister and not Jake, and she said, I was anticipating this response, and it's not unfair at all. Thank you for taking the time to write it. It was extremely difficult to articulate the many emotions I feel neatly into a readable post on Reddit. There are days where I feel so overcome with hatred and shock that I almost find it difficult to breathe. Other days, I feel it seems like a bad dream that I suppressed long enough to be able to go to work, come home, eat, sleep, and do not much else. Sarah has not got away with anything. I will always hold her at arm's length for this, and our relationship will never recover to the level where I can trust her fully. I can't do this. Poppy! For real, girl? Why? You're gonna get this? Over you, woman. I have caught the perpetrator. This is her. She got a bag stuck to her head. A Victoria's Secret pink bag handle. And she was dragging it around. Okay. Thank you. Now go play with your toys or something. Like, for the love of God. That was so annoying. I hope you guys couldn't hear that, because that was genuinely making me so upset. And Frankie, if you do that, I'm literally not saving you. Frankie, come. Quit. I'm paying major pet tax right now. Okay. Our relationship will likely never recover to the level where I can trust her fully, but it is truly difficult to cut a family member out. Maybe in the future I'll find that I'm not able to move past this and I will end up removing her from my life, but as it stands, this is what I currently feel: more hatred towards Jake than her. It is a situation in flux, and what I may feel at the time of writing this post could be completely different tomorrow. I'm also intending to seek counseling, which may change my perspective entirely, but for now it is what it is. And right now, for whatever reason, my heart is hurting more at Jake. All the memories I have of family days out ruined. All the memories I have of family days out, ruined by Sarah, that he's witnessed, nights I've spent telling him about her, times I've defended her, and when he's told me she's crazy, I just can't understand why or how he would go there. Then there's our life together, our plans for our wedding, the memories we've shared, everything he was willing to throw away from someone that I believe he had no respect for. Tomorrow I'll be angry at Sarah all over again, but today it's Jake. Like I said, it's a situation in flux, and no one day has been the same so far when it comes to my emotions. Thank you for taking so much time to share your thoughts with me. It's greatly appreciated. In time, I will be able to process your words with a clearer mind. Well, I hope you're okay, and sometimes when I read these stories, I genuinely feel like the pain in my own, like I almost feel like I'm putting myself in their position, and I feel the pain like in my body. And then like I'm stressed because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me, but it's not really happening to me. Like I'm just reading a story. but I just feel like I'm taking on all of their like pain, and I'm just putting myself in that situation as if my boyfriend slept with my sister, and I'm like so upset and stressed. Like, I just feel really bad for her. Like, that's the worst. That's terrible. I can't even imagine having to go through that with like just your own family that you just think is supposed to have your back. Like, that's your sister, and not only that, but your older sister. Like, what? That's just so sad. And to have to deal with like, to have someone that you love in your life that is like, does deal with like suicidal ideation and things like that, and just mental health that it seems like will never get better. Almost like it just is so hard because you want them to get help so badly, but obviously they can't until they want to get help themselves. And sometimes that takes a while for them to really realize that like they should get help so that they can live a better life. And you want that so badly for them because you can see it from the outside looking in, that like if you just did this, like maybe you would be better and you would feel better and like life would be so much better for you. But it's just not that easy. It's not. Some people really deny, like, no, I'm fine. Or like, not even that you're fine, but almost like that's not going to help me. Like, therapy's not going to help. I'm just going to be like this. I'm doomed. I'm destined to be this way forever. This is the way I am. Like, I have no hope, you know? I almost kind of relate to that just because like when I was really, really going through a few months ago, I would say January, February, I had been struggling for a few months with depression and anxiety really bad. Like, I've struggled with it since I was 14, but really badly. I had been struggling with it for the past like 6 months, and it was just getting worse and worse. And every day I was just thinking like, this is life. Like, really, this sucks. Life sucks. Like, why is this the way that life is? And I almost just felt like I'm not getting on medicine because medicine's bad for you and it's going to ruin my body, and it's probably not going to help, and I'm probably still going to feel like this, but maybe just a tiny bit better, and I'm never going to be fully 100% like okay, because I already went to therapy for a year and that didn't help all the way. Like, it helped me for the moment, like while I was in therapy, and then a little bit after, and then slowly I kind of just dissipated and like it started coming back, my depression and anxiety. But then when I finally gave medicine a chance, I am so much better, and I am so thankful that I No way you just did that. You're crazy. I'm trying to have a deep conversation and she's going psycho behind me. But yeah, I'm really glad that I gave medicine a chance is what I was trying to say, but I was rudely interrupted by this woman. This is going to be such a chaotic episode. Like, I'm sorry, and I really hope that you're still tuning in. If you're still here, thank you so much for being here, because I think I would have left by now. In between me having to go pick up my cat, like, her asshole literally being in the frame with litter connected to her dingleberries. Anyways, I don't even know if I finished a complete thought there, but they're sleeping all day, and then now their time is the time that they choose to be crazy. Okay, next story. My wife cheated on our anniversary with her best friend's husband. Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd have to share here, but I need to get this off my chest. This is a throwaway account for obvious reasons. Here's the story of how I discovered my wife was cheating on me on our anniversary of all days. My 34 male, wife 32 female, and I have been married for 7 years. We have 2 beautiful kids, ages 5 and 3. For the most part, our marriage has been great, or so I thought. Last month, we celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary. I planned a romantic weekend getaway to a cabin in the mountains. It was supposed to be just the 2 of us. No kids, no distractions, just quality time together. In the weeks leading up to the trip, I noticed she was acting distant. She was always on her phone, giggling at messages and being secretive about who she was talking to. When I asked her, she brushed it off, saying it was just her friends from work. Fast forward to our anniversary weekend, we got to the cabin and everything seemed perfect at first. But she was glued to her phone the entire time. I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe she was just having a hard time unplugging from work. On the second night, she fell asleep with her phone unlocked. I know it's a breach of privacy, but my gut was screaming at me that something was wrong. I picked up her phone and found a series of texts between her and a guy named Brian. The texts were explicit, leaving no doubt that they were having an affair. They even joked about meeting up while we were supposed to be on our anniversary trip. Here's where it gets worse. I recognized the phone number. Brian wasn't just some guy from work. He was my wife's best friend's husband. They had been coming over for barbecues, double dates, and our kids' birthday parties for years. I felt so sick. I didn't confront her immediately because I didn't want to ruin the weekend. Instead, I quietly took screenshots of their conversations and sent them to myself. When we got back home, I confronted her. She broke down into tears, admitting everything. They had been sneaking around for months, using every excuse in the book to meet up. She said she was sorry and begged for forgiveness, but I was too hurt to think straight. To add salt to the wound, her best friend called me the next day. Apparently, she found out too and wanted to make sure that I knew what was going on. It turns out their affair had been going on right under our noses, even while we were all hanging out together as couples. I took some time to process everything and decided to take a break. I moved in with my brother for a while to clear my head. We've been going to marriage counseling since then, but I don't know if I can ever trust her again. Our kids are my top priority, and I'm trying to keep things as normal as possible for their sake. But inside, I'm a mess. I loved her more than anything, and this betrayal has shattered me. Has anyone here been through something similar? How did you cope? Is it I'm so done with them. Is it possible to rebuild trust after something like this? Any advice would be appreciated. Okay. Well, that is really sad. And I don't even know what to say about that because that is just something that I have never, ever been through. And I am not married. So I can imagine what it would be like if it were my boyfriend. But that is just a different story because they have 2 children together. Okay, let's read update number 1. 2 hours ago. Ooh. We're getting a fresh update. Oh, my God. This is a tiny little update. I recently posted about a really tough situation I'm going through. I'm struggling with what to do next and would really appreciate some advice. If you could take a moment to read my original post and leave your thoughts and comments at the bottom, I would mean a lot. That's no update. Ugh. Okay. Well, I guess there's no update. Someone said, oh, he did comment 4 hours ago. Hey everyone, as you all know, this just happened last month. Since then, I've been avoiding all conversations with her that isn't about the kids. She's been blowing up my phone, telling me how much she loves me and begging me to come back home. She says there's something important she needs to tell me face to face. Honestly, I'm not ready to stand in front of her yet. The pain is still too raw. We tried going to marriage counseling, but I discontinued it after just 2 sessions. It was too overwhelming for me. I visit my kids almost every day and we spend time together, but I can't bring myself to go inside the house. Then yesterday, I got an unexpected text from her best friend. She said she needed to talk to me urgently about something I don't know yet. Now I'm torn. Should I hear her out or just walk away for good? I'm not sure what to think and honestly scared of what else I might uncover. I'm feeling like she's probably pregnant. I'm getting the sense that she might be pregnant. Because your wife needs to tell you something and the best friend needs to tell you something. Someone commented, talk to the best friend and cut your wife off. It's not about loving you and being sorry. She enjoyed doing it. She got off to the thought of disrespecting you and effing him on your damn anniversary. It's about her losing her comfortable life and realizing what she did to your kids. And I tell her so point blank. I think they meant, and you tell her so point blank. Effing get best friend's husband was more. What? Effing get best friend's husband was more important to her than your kid's stable life in an intact home. What the hell? Sucking his dick was worth uprooting her kid's life, and there's no coming back from Not with all those disgusting little things like your anniversary or when y'all met up. That was the craziest comment. That is literally unreadable because they did not write that correctly. Is she going to tell you that he got her pregnant? Clearly, you should go find out what it is. Yeah, you really should. I would meet with the best friend ASAP, as any and all information that you can gather at this time is valuable. It may be painful, but it's still valuable, so bite the bullet and meet with her as soon as you can. Hopefully you're getting some individual counseling to cope. I'm praying that you see something positive soon. Yeah. Well, I guess we're gonna be, like, keeping up with this. We should keep up with this. So that next episode, maybe he'll have, like, a for real update and know what is going on. Alright. Let's see. This is, like, something that I've not seen. It's kind of crazy. After his wife cheated, he became a murderer. As the title suggests, there was this man that lived in our neighborhood. He was average looking guy, but had very well paying job. I was 6 or 7. One day I was just playing in the neighborhood and encountered him. He was coming from his job and had a few chocolates and snacks in his hand. I was looking at the snacks and he gave all of it to me, and that was our first encounter. My dad also became friends with him. He was the one who taught me the importance of money in this world. He always used to say that although I'm not good looking, that's not nice. Oh, he was saying that about himself. Although I'm not good looking, I got a great job so I can make my family happy in the future, and that's all that matters. A few years later, when I was about 10 or 11, I think, he got married. His wife was very beautiful. I was invited to the wedding and also congratulated to scoring a girl like her. He laughed so loud all the guests were looking at us. Over the years, he became a father and I became very busy with college, so our conversation became less frequent. But whenever I visited my parents, I used to meet him, but year by year he became less happy. The smile he had when I met him for the first time was nowhere to be seen. I tried to asking him multiple times, but he always shrugged it off. 1 year ago, he was arrested for killing his wife and his boss mercilessly. I won't go into details, but you're going into details. But he cut their toes, legs, hands, tortured them, and then burned them. Then he turned himself in. Later, we found out that his wife was having an affair with his boss. He met his wife in his office. She approached him first, and after a few dates, they started dating, but her whole plan was to just use him for money. After 12 years of marriage, he found out that none of the kids were his. His wife was just using him at the moment to raise his boss's kids. In prison, he took his own life. Oh my God, trigger warning, guys. This is a crazy, very dark story. I'm so sorry. This is not like a good bedtime story. A few days ago was his death anniversary. I went to visit his grave and I saw his kids with their grandmother. They came to meet their dad. I brought those snacks and chocolates he gave me when we met to put on his grave. When his kids saw me, they came running to me and said, "Big bro, did you also come here to meet Dad?" No wonder he was always saying big bro is a very good boy and all. I broke down at that moment. I know we just used to know each other, but the pain I felt in that moment was unbearable. Hearing those words, I replied, "That's why whenever you need any help, come to big bro," and I gave them the snacks and chocolates. Sometimes I wonder, do cheaters even think what can be consequences of their actions? How many lives will be affected? Why would you even marry a man you don't love just to ruin his life? What was his mistake? To have a loving wife and beautiful kids? Sometimes these things keep occupying my mind. Just wanted to share this story to let people know. Please think about consequences before taking a step. Well, that was a very weirdly written story, and I'm kind of scared. I'm so sorry if you're listening to this before bed. It's okay. Like, don't think about it, because I don't like that. I shouldn't have read that. That was dark. No. And I don't like the way that he wrote it. Like, what do you mean big? What does that mean? Big bro. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm not gonna read the story like that ever again, because I don't like it. And I like true crime usually, but that's just not what this is about. Maybe I will do a true crime episode though, so that you guys know that it's true crime and instead are not ambushed like that, because I feel ambushed. I don't know why I read that and I knew what the title was. Like, I thought, I don't want to know. I don't want to know that. I don't even know if that was real, because the way that he wrote it was a little bit, I don't know. Okay. I think my boyfriend's going to be home soon, so... And it's getting so dark. Like, what is happening? You can thank my cats for how chaotic that episode was. I'm literally going to put them in timeout after that, because that was so crazy. Like, they really had to do that to all my books back there, and then push that down, and I had to go fix her freaking head was stuck in the bag. Like, that was crazy, and I'm so sorry for how chaotic that was, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'm so sorry for that last story. I will not do that to you again. That was very rude of me, and I hope you're not scared, and I hope you're not listening to this before bed, because if you are, I really apologize that you don't. I hope you don't have bad dreams. Like, think about rainbows and butterflies and, like, unicorns and mermaids. I fucking love mermaids. Like, for real. Mermaids are real. I really think they're real. But subscribe, like, leave a comment, because that's my favorite thing, is to chat with you guys. And I'm so happy that you're here. For real. I'm so happy you're here. I am so glad that you are a part of this Storytime Society. And I just hope that we all become, like, super close, fun little community. And I have so much fun doing this and chatting with you guys and just seeing all of your cute little comments. And love you. Love you so much. Goodbye.